Show of hands, who plans to vote in the midterm elections? So show of hands if you're voting for Republican candidates. Show of hands if you're voting for Democratic candidates. And you still are making up your mind.
Yes.
There has been a huge focus in this year's election on courting the suburban female vote. What do you make of that?
I don't think they're actually doing it.
I don't either.
What is important to you, Sarah?
Safety of children. We talk about gun safety. I really don't believe it is a gun issue. I believe it is a safety of our children and a safety of our schools issue. Infrastructure. I look around at the crumbling roads that I drive on every day.
I see you nodding your head, and yet I know politically affiliated on different sides.
Right, but they're all common issues. I mean, we all want our kids to be safe in their schools. We all want colleges to prepare our students to get jobs when they graduate.
Danielle, you're a college student. What is the single biggest issue that's influencing your vote?
I mean, for me as a business student, definitely the economy, less, needless regulations, less unnecessary spending from the government, lower taxes on, the middle class.
What speaks to you, June?
I think the economy. I think if we could get a strong economy, and one way of doing that would be like the infrastructure.
My main issue is prevention of gun violence. My oldest little girl is 4.5. She's going into pre-K. I feel I should not be receiving emails regarding my school's, active shooter policies. I think that's atrocious. It's not okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being barely and 10 being it's everything, how big is Trump weighing into the way you plan to vote in the midterms?
I like many of his policies, and I hope that people in Congress can help him to push those policies through. So I'll say a 9.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to vote for someone who campaigns on being an obstructionist and being like, I won't let the president do anything he wants, so probably an 8.
I like Trump very much, so I would probably say a 9.
I'm on the other side of the spectrum where I despise him. Everything he's done to date, I have just been completely morally and ethically opposed to, so it is motivating me 10 to go and vote, but because of the opposite reasons.
Wholeheartedly agree with that statement. I would say a 9. Actually, back in 2016, I was actually registered a Republican, and I voted in the primary for John Kasich, and I believe that Trump doesn't represent what I think at the core of it is a real Republican Party.
What is it that bothers you the most?
His behavior. I could talk about it for a very long time. I have probably quite the laundry list. Mocking the disabled, calling people animals, calling people racist. It's everything. Rhetoric and what you say matters. Your words and actions matter.
Does this president's rhetoric bother you as Trump voters, as Republicans?
We don't have to call people names and stuff. I mean, that to me is like bullying and stuff on a playground.
So is it okay for this president, the current president, to use the kind of language that he does, whether it's on Twitter or on TV?
I am not here to defend some of the tweets that President Trump has
I think you shouldn't
made.
tweet.
But I think there's a big difference between what the president says and what he does.
What do you make of his Twitter attacks against foreign leaders, against people of color, against athletes, against the media, against the Justice Department?
I mean, I think all the tweets should be looked at on a case-by-case basis. He did say, he did put comments towards Kim Jong-un, but then they had a meeting, and that was a much bigger deal than the tweets.
So you're willing to just overlook those?
I think that's not, what's hurting America the most right now, are his tweets.
I'm really concerned that he doesn't represent Americans. He's out there, he's on the international circuit, and people are looking at him and thinking, is this what America is about? Is this what America is becoming? It's awful, abusive behavior. He may have been popular in the election, but he wasn't the most popular. We also forget that.
He did win in this state. Do you hear what they're saying and do you disagree?
I disagree. I think there's a big difference between what one says and what one does.
But do the words matter?
I guess it depends on the situation, but the words, we don't know what words are said between President Trump and Kim Jong-un individually.
But publicly, he's insulted our allies and praised people like Putin.
I think it's
Or Kim
tactical.
Jong-un.
I think it's tactical.
And you're okay with that? Thoughts, Danielle? Do words matter?
I think actions matter too. You know, our economy is looking really good. Unemployment's at one of the lowest it's been in decades, and I think that stuff matters too.